Welcome back to Miss Eddie's Math Movies, where it's a cute to be a square. Today's lesson is 8.3, Area of Squares and Rectangles. By the end of the lesson, you'll be able to find the area of squares and rectangles. In order to find area, we need to know what it is. So area is the amount of surface covered by a figure, written in square units. So if I draw a shape, the area is the surface that it covers. This is the area. How many squares does that cover? So to find the area of a square, we talked about this earlier. The area of a square is the square of the length of its side. What is this talking about? Well, before we talked, with a rectangle, you have area equals base times height. Well, in a square, the base is S and the height is S. So area equals side squared, right? Or you can think of it as area equals base times height. That's fine too, but it makes sense. A square, you take the side and you square it. That's why it's called a square. So let's do an example. All right, I want you to get in the habit of writing the formula for each shape. So find the area of the square. So the first thing I want you to do when you do this to the side is area equals side squared. That's your first step, is to write the formula. Then you're going to plug in what you know. Do you know the area? No, but you do know the side. You're looking for the area. So area equals, you plug in S, which is 7. 7 squared. Area equals 49. And don't forget about your units. Your units are in feet squared, right? A square foot is a 12-inch by 12-inch square. That's how many square feet are in this shape. If you would imagine, you could count the boxes if you want to, but that would take a long time. So that's why we just use the formula. We don't want to have to count all those boxes. We know already that it's 49 square feet. I want you to write all your stuff off to the side in this section. Suppose you know that the area of the square is 49 square feet. What calculation can you perform to find the length of the side? So write your formula. But this time we know the area equals 49. So 49 goes here. How would we find the side? Well, we'd have to square root. 7 feet equals the side. So the answer to the question is square root. That's what we did to find the side. The area of a rectangle now is the product. Remember, product means multiply. You're going to multiply its base and its height. B times H. All right, so here we go. I want you to write it all to the side, please. Find the area of the rectangle. Area equals base times height. That's our formula. The first step is always to write the formula down. Now we plug in everything that we know. We know the base is 5 and the height is 3. I don't know area, so I'm going to leave that. 5 times 3. Area equals 15. Don't forget the units. Centimeters squared. Find the area of the figure at the right using the formula for the area of a square. All right, so that formula is side squared. So we're going to do 4 squared is 16. Now let's do the same thing by using the rectangle formula. So that's base times height. The base is 4 and the height is 4, which is 16. Wow, that should not be surprising. So we can use either formula if it's a square. You can do side squared, or you can do b times h. Why can you use either formula to find the area? Because a square is a rectangle. We talked about that last chapter. So that's why we can use the square formula or the rectangle formula. Find the height of the rectangle. A rectangle has an area of 54 square inches. Find its height. So the first thing I do always is I write my formula down. A equals BH. Then I plug in what I know. Do I know my area? Yes, my area is 54. So I put 54 here. Do I know my base? Yes, my base is 9. Do I know my height? No, height is just h. Now I can solve for h. And that's what it wanted. It wanted us to find the height. So h equals 6. And height is always just in regular units. The height is 6 inches. Find the area of the quadrilateral. All right, and I want you to show your work. So do this now. Don't forget units. Have units on all your answers. And here you have to find the base. All right, so make sure you do that too. If you need any help, this is like example 1, this is like example 2, this is like example 2, and this is like example 3. Find the dimensions of rectangle A and B. All right, so it's looking for the length and the width. Let's start with rectangle A. We need to find these dimensions. Well, I notice one of the dimensions is 5. All right, and this whole thing is 9. So I've got 5 and 5. And if this whole thing is 9, that must mean that this has to be 4, which makes this 4. And if you look here, this whole thing is 7, which means this is 7. If we already have 2, that must mean this has to be 5, because 5 plus 2 makes 7. Also, that means we need opposite sides are equal, so that's 5. Because rectangle B is 2 units taller, we did 7 minus 2. That's how we got 5. The height of rectangle B is 7. The base is the total. We did 9 minus 5, which is 4. So A is 5 by 5. B is 7 by 4. Those are our answers. Look at it. It's a 5 by 5 rectangle. This is a 7 by 4 rectangle. We're going to use that in a moment. Find the area of the polygon made up of rectangles. Okay, so I need to cut, well, I don't have a formula for this shape, so I need to cut this into shapes that I know. So I'm going to cut this into a rectangle and this into a rectangle. And we'll call this F, we'll call this G, and we'll call this H. I need to find each area and then add them together. So F is 3 by 7. 3 times 7 is 21. Okay, so that's 21. I'm going to write that in here. This one looks a little bit complicated. We'll come back to that. Look at this one down here is a 2 by 5. 2 by 5 is 10. So now G, what are the dimensions of G? Well, if you look here, this whole thing is 5, which means this whole thing is 5. If this is 2, that must mean I need 3 more. Now let's look at here. This is 2. This is 3. And this whole thing is 9. If I already have 2 and I already have 3, that means I already have 5, which means I need 4 more to get to 9. So G is 4 by 3. 4 by 3 is 12. So now we just have to add this all up. 21 plus 12 plus 10. Well, 21 plus 12 is 33. 33 plus 10 is 43. 43 centimeters squared. In example 5, divide the polygon into different rectangles to find the area. All right, what if we did it like this? So this is a 3 by 4 now, not a 3 by 7. This is a 3 by 4, which makes it 12. Oh, and this is a 2 by 2, not 2 by 5 anymore. So this is 4. Now we need the dimensions here. This is a 9 by, how long is this? Well, if you look here, this is 4, which makes this 4. And if the whole thing is 7, I need 3 more. So this rectangle is 9 by 3, which is 27. So now I've got 27 plus 12 plus 4. Well, 27 plus 12 is 39. 39 plus 4 is 43. Look, you get the same answer. As long as you're making sure that you've divided up the rectangles correctly. Labeled the base and the height correctly. Doesn't matter how you cut them up. All right, so use example 5. Find this area, and then add them together. Find this area, and this area, and add them together. Do this now. And don't forget units. Remember, your units are always squared when you're doing area. This is M Cubed signing out.